Hey, it's Pastor Eli After Hours. It's me, and I'm now finished off with a big project that we were working on, which is going door to door and taking surveys, looking for Bible studies, trying to gain interest on what the community needs and interests are. It's After Hours, Eli, or Pastor After Hours, because I'm done. This was the last day. Let me go ahead and change my gain structure here a little bit. I've got a little bit too much gain. Let's go ahead and back that down. Okay, maybe a little bit too much. Let's bring that up again. All right, cool. It's been mhm. It has been quite a ride here. Okay. Oh, buddy. Okay, super. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute, I'm not going to lie, since I've been on here, but I wanted to come on and just decompress a little bit. I've waited until now. I had thought about like recording little videos of me going out into the community and walking down the street, but after having given it a lot of thought, maybe not a terrible amount of thought, but after having been doing it now for a few weeks, for one, it was hard enough getting out there, as it was, and I already felt awkward being in public. I didn't feel like I needed to videotape myself with a selfie stick going down the street. That just felt extra narcissistic. I didn't really feel like doing that. I got really self-conscious. Here's kind of what the project was. My Glenwood Springs church, we put together I pitched the idea of going door to door. Initially, I had pitched the idea that I would give them 2 weeks, 2 full weeks, start to finish, no breaks, all gas, no breaks, and just doing that, right? Instead, they were like, why don't we do it, instead of doing 2 weeks, what if because we want to help, which I was like, wow, that's awesome. I genuinely was not expecting that they were going to want to come and do this with me. I really thought it was just going to be me. Nevertheless, I'm really proud of those who came out, those who joined me, and I have nothing but good things to say about everybody who came and knocked on doors with me. Sorry, I keep on going all over the place. It feels like I've been sprinting for like 4 months, and I'm just now sitting down. And the crazy part is the race is not even anywhere close to being over. But that's what it's like. That's what it's like being a pastor. Where to start? I guess this is going to turn into a life update. Welcome, I guess. Still monitoring my audio levels there. I can tell that I'm clipping. I noticed that on the recording earlier. Let me turn down maybe that'll help. Okay. Nope, there we go, clipping again. Let's make it more aggressive. How's that? Okay. Basically, come on. How's that? Okay. Wow, still clipping. What's happening here? How's that? 14 dB. Not that much gain. Okay. Basically, what's been happening is that I pitched the idea. Let's go door to door. We need to find people to study with. That's the problem, right? Our church is doing nothing. We're not helping. We're not even available. This was now me speaking past, like in the past tense. This is where I was at. I was thinking we're not even available to the community. Like we say that we want to be Christians, but we're not doing it. Like we're not doing anything. And I don't mean like the complaint that pastors usually make, right? Because look, I've been around the block, just like most pastors who have been in ministry longer than 10 years. I've been around the block. I get it, right? Churches love to say, we're not doing anything. And like the truth is, if you're holding services and you're gathering together to worship, you love one another, even to like a bare minimum, and your church is open, you're doing something, okay? You're doing something. It might not feel like a lot, but it's something, and it counts. the reason why I really like to harp on that is like ultimately, this whole idea of us like needing to be going out and doing outreach is good and it's biblical, but it's not the end all. Like there's plenty of other things that we should and could be doing. And it doesn't all have to be going out there and be doing some sort of mission thing. We should be doing those things, but it doesn't have to be those things in order for your church to be doing something, right? Being a community and being a place where people can gather together and worship God, believe it or not, counts as doing something. Is it the bare minimum? Some people might say yes. I'm going to say maybe it's not the bare minimum. I think it's a couple rungs above that. I think people take for granted. Go to any other country in the world that is not heavily Christianized, and you will realize how valuable it is to have communities and centers of worship where people can freely and openly express that they are Christian. You don't get to just do that in other places of the world. We're very, very blessed to have that. And that counts. That matters for something. Does this mean that doing church is enough? I mean, like, it's enough in the sense that for some people, like, it might be enough. But is it enough to spread the gospel that way? No, it's not enough to spread the gospel that way. In that sense, it's probably not enough. Nevertheless, that's my whole gripe, right? Like, is the church doing enough? It really is just up to interpretation of like what's going on. I think the church is not living up to its potential and what its true calling is. Our calling is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ to the whole world, teaching them and baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's not boring to me. I'm just catching my breath. So I pitched that to the church. I'm like, we're not doing anything. I didn't tell them that, but that's what I was thinking up here. If you're watching now, Liam, hi. That's what was in my mind. I was like, we're not doing anything at all when I got here. This church and the rifle church. Sorry, I was like, yeah, we're not doing anything. And we're not even doing it particularly well. Rifle maybe a little bit better, but certainly here. I show up the first Sabbath that I was scheduled to speak here, and there was no one, not a soul. The church wasn't even unlocked. I went to the Spanish church, and they actually asked me to preach. They're like, well, we'd love to have a pastor preach. And that's just generally true of Hispanic churches altogether, right? So that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like, okay, I need to be doing something with my time, and I'm just not winning at this whole compression game. Let's see if I can get this compressor working. This is Pastor Eli After Hours. This is not a polished show. I don't have bullet points. I don't even have an agenda. I'm just here for a good time to talk about basically what I'm doing in life. Yeah, it's a fun time. So see if I'm still talking. Am I still in the red? Go. Let's give me a B there. Yeah, there we go. I should be doing pretty good now. Even if I speak a little quieter, you should still be able to hear me. Like if I lower what I sound like. And if I really talk loud, then that's where we're at. Okay? So I'm gonna really compress that. Boom, boom. Check 1, 2, check. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm still clipping. How am I still clipping? Now I'm clipping even more. Come on. There. Test. Okay. Now I'm good. Probably. Now I'm good. Did I just start over? Yeah, I've been blabbering for 9 minutes. Who cares, right? I'm just doing these because I'm out of the habit of making videos, so I'm doing this. And I'm rewarding myself. I'm rewarding myself with some Milano cookies that my kids got me for Father's Day. Look, our church, like I'm not going to rag on my church super hard or anything. It was kind of bad. We weren't really having worship services. We were barely having a Sabbath school. That's not the fault necessarily, or I should say not entirely on the members. Like the members here are good people. they're up against a lot of odds, right? They don't live in town. They are a dying church. They've been done dirty by the conference. They've had a pastor or two that did not do any favors for the church. And they did, that's not to say they didn't have good pastors. They did. Rudy Vivanco was here. Hubert Hernandez was here as well. And various other pastors, right, that they just really benefited from. But this particular building just has a ton going on. Not going to lie. That is against it. They had a huge split. It wasn't even like a split. It was more like a complete, just like gutting of the church twice. Once in members leaving, and the second time was in theft. Someone stole all of their equipment. They think it might have been a homeless person. I actually think it was somebody that was like a former member. That's actually my thought. Do I think they stole the stuff? I don't know. I'm not sure yet. But sometimes members will donate equipment to churches, but they won't turn in a receipt. They won't, they won't claim the donation. They won't write it off. They'll just like donate, and then when they're disgruntled with the church, they'll take all their stuff back. And I've seen that happen other times, and that's kind of what this feels. This feels like that's what happened, because the gear they left versus the gear they took, I could easily see this be like, this is something I would have contributed to it. You are into sound, might have a mixer link. That's just a thing. It's possible a church bought it if the church bought it with their own money, and I could see it in writing, I could see the records of like this when this stuff was purchased, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, somebody stole that. But just speaking based on the demographic that's here, that might not have been what happened. It's been tough. I told church, look, I'll give you 2 weeks of my time, uninterrupted, where I'm not taking any calls. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to knock on doors, and I'm going to brute force it. And I'm going to say, do you want to study the Bible? Let's study the Bible. And that's what we're going to do. We workshopped it a little bit. They wanted to be more involved. And we ended up settling on this idea of going door to door and conducting a survey, which is very much in my training. It's in my wheelhouse as a Bible worker. I'm a certified Bible worker. I don't know if you knew that or not. Oftentimes it sounds like I'm being self-aggrandizing, and I'm not really self-aggrandizing. I'm playing it up for laughs. If you see me point I've been doing this, part of it is like the self-consciousness of why should you listen to me? I'm on YouTube. Anybody can make it. I do have the perspective of having been trained by what's considered people who know what they're doing. Amazing Facts had their Center of Evangelism. Arise had their Bible worker training boot camp. I've done both of them. I went to Union College, done all this stuff. And in those programs, you learn methods for doing outreach and evangelism. This is probably the most traditional, to the point method of evangelism that I've been trained in, of doing Bible work. Basically, you have you've got this. You've got the survey of community needs and interests. Classic. You show up and you say, "Hi, I'm doing this thing. That we're doing a survey," and oftentimes you're even told, don't even tell them what church you are with. I do. I'm not hiding anything. That's something I disagree with the programs that I've gone through. I don't want to pretend I'm not an Adventist. I'm an Adventist. It says it right there. Okay? This is Adventist Community Service Center, Community Involvement Survey, and we're here about the community needs and interests. That's the big point. This is the big question. Yes, these are questions about if you want to study the Bible, because I'm here. I'm obviously here because I want to study the Bible. But we decided that there was going to be a big picture reason for why we're in the community, something to legitimize me going door to door. And that legitimacy comes from this up here. Now, in my experience, most churches will not follow through on this part. And that's why I made a really big deal out of this with the church. I said, look, we need to be ready to meet people's actual felt needs. Because it's not enough to say that we're going to do these programs. We need to actually plan to do these programs. So we should only put stuff on here that we plan on following through with. Even if we can't do all of them, we should, even if we shouldn't expect that we're going to do all of them at the same time or all together eventually. Just these are the things realistically we can pull off. A diabetes workshop, a stress management mental peace seminar, a parenting help and guidance, or a budgeting education program free to the community. Those are the things we're surveying people. That's why I'm there. A big part of the, not big, but I want to imagine that it's somewhat subtle. I just kind of throw it in there when I need to. We're doing this survey to gauge what the needs in our community are, and we're specifically looking to see what are ways we can help our community in ways that are not strictly spiritual. The unspoken truth there is, I think churches are already doing the spiritual thing. You're a spiritual person, you're interested, that's great. But people have physical needs, like people have real needs, financial needs, health needs. What's the church? Is the church just about spirituality? Maybe, but I wanted to at least put that out there. And we're going to follow through on that. That's not unique to my approach. Again, this is very traditional Adventist Bible work. And then, of course, there's questions on there that we sneak those in there. Really, and I try to be as genuine as possible about it. These are religious questions. These are optional. It's all optional, but these are extra optional. And it's extra optional if you want to enter to win an Amazon gift card, you can do that, right? For people who were too busy, I'm sorry, I'm just too busy. Boom, QR code. Fill this out. You still want to participate in the drawing? You can just put your contact information. Super easy. People indicate they want to study the Bible. I'm going to follow up on those people. It's actually the hard part. Got to do that part next. I've learned some things doing this project. For one, members buy in if you invest in them. And if you're watching this and you're from the Glenwood Springs Church, I don't want to pretend at any moment that my friendship with you is not genuine. But I'm also not going to hide. I'm not going to publicize it from the pulpit that, hey, Pastor Eli wants to be friends with you so that you have buy-in to his programs. But that's I am doing it on purpose. I am your friend on purpose. The friendship is genuine, but it's not for nothing. I'm not just friends so that we can hang out on a Sunday, play video games, or watch a movie. That's cool, and I wish I could do that, but I can't in good conscience take the conference's money, which is your tithe money, without doing something more. If I'm drawing close to you, or if I'm developing a relationship, because I think that you benefit from having a spiritual person in your life that you can come to with your problems when they come up. Pastor, I'm really struggling with. Pastor, I struggle with drinking, and no one in the church knows about it. I don't do it a lot, but I can't stop. Pastor, I'm thinking about getting a divorce, and just things aren't working. Right? These emotional and spiritual conversations that are difficult to have, I want to be there for you. That's why I became a pastor. That's so valuable to me. I didn't realize that I would lose that when I don't get to do that. I don't have anybody that I can call up and be like, hey, can you pray with me? I'm really struggling. This. I have to play everything super close to the chest. Is it because the culture in pastoring is super toxic? I don't think so. I think it's just it's very awkward, right? Who do I have? Who's my pastor? I don't have one. I have peers. But it feels weird, especially as I've grown in ministry, that some peers don't see me as a peer, start seeing me more as their mentor. And that's tough. I don't think that's, I'm not saying oh, please don't look at me, or I don't want that. I do want that. I think mentorship is an important part of the pastoral journey. You should learn to be a mentor. You should seek to do that. But it's been tough. It has been tough. So with this, I learned that if you get buy-in from your members, in friendship or in belief, if you invest in your members, they will buy into what you do, which is something I've been saying for a long time, but I finally get to do it because I've been at a church now longer than 2 years. What I did is I poured my heart and soul into this church. I show up. I did everything to be present. I started and restarted Bible study groups, prayer meetings, and I preached more often, and I filled in when we didn't have preachers. And fortunately, I couldn't keep up with all of that, right? I tried, and we see what sticks and what works. Some of it worked because it was sustainable. Some of it worked because people had buy-in. Some of it didn't work because people maybe weren't super into it. And some of it didn't work because I couldn't keep up with it. the preaching, for example. And some of it is healthy. You want to have some variety anyway. I've noticed that with the Glenwood Springs Church, I thought at first that maybe it's desperation. We aren't doing anything. We're afraid our church is going to close down. And I did fearmonger a little bit. Like I stuck my elbow in their ribs and I was like, listen, like they're going to shut our church down. The conference does not, like it was a tough financial time for the conference. And they were like, look, if a church is not doing its job and we don't see a future for it, we're taking their pastor and we're putting somewhere else, somewhere we can actually use the work. But I love this church. I love all of my churches differently. I love this one because I know what it's like to be in a small church, commuters who desperately want to grow and to spread the message, but they don't have the time. They're busy because they're young and I was in that. It's a church I grew up in, and we still grew. The way that we pulled it off, that we did Bible work, we did community events, and we did friendship evangelism, meaning that we met with people, we befriended them, and we were just unapologetic that, yes, we are Adventists. Yes, we do care about health. Yes, we do meet on the Sabbath. But we still love you. And hey, we're not actually that bad. Come and hang out. You're always welcome. We're still going to invite you even if you don't be a part of our church. Still a part of our family. That outlook is special to me. So when I pitched that here, I didn't think people were going to go for it. I thought white people aren't like that. I thought this crowd is a little older. I thought these are professionals. They're not, down and out immigrants. I thought this probably won't work. I'm going to have to do it by myself, right? If I want to see change, I have to do it. And I was half right. I did have to kickstart it. I did have to do all of those things. But I think what I wasn't counting on, that God moves in the hearts of many people, make time for the things that matter. This mattered to them enough that they were like, wow, our pastor's going. We want to do that too. If our pastor can, we can. We may not be able to go out every day, but we can come out, or every week, but we can come out a couple weeks. We can make a commitment here or there. If pastor makes a schedule, we can sign up. That made a difference. Spearheading in the way that I was taught is always about like, cast a vision, tell the people, and then let them run with it. Let them figure it out. Let them do the work. I can't do that. You're getting paid. If you're a pastor, you're getting paid. Do the work. I also learned this. I really didn't want to admit this to myself. It's hard for me to admit on the internet. I am afraid. I am averse to failure. I hate failure. Yet I recognize, because I've learned many skills, that failure is just a part of how we learn. Is the only there is a non-negotiable failure fee for everything you will ever succeed. Nobody taught me that. I learned it. There's a non-negotiable failure, everything you will ever succeed. It was scary going out there, I'm not going to lie. When I was in LE, there was the assurance that whether I sold nothing, whether I sold everything, the result was the same. I'm at least doing God's will. Someone else has organized this. And I'm out here, I'm doing the work. And it's not on me if this program fails, because it's ultimately up to God. And that illusion was passable. I could swallow that pill while I was in LA. When I was a Pathfinder, even younger than that, and I was going door to door and selling books, I could say, the success of this, there's not really a lot of failure because I'm cute, I'm small, and I can get away with a lot, and people see me, and if they don't like me, they're just grumpy people. But now I'm doing this program, right? And like this program has the thinnest veneer, exactly this thin of a veneer. I guess really this thin of a veneer of an excuse that if this doesn't work out, it's just because people aren't interested in this one thing. But God will reach some other ways. I can only hide behind that tiny veneer, and the rest of it is me knowing like nothing else is being done. No one else is going door to door here in Glenwood Springs. I don't think I've even seen like the Jehovah's Witnesses out here, and they're everywhere. Yes, I've seen their Kingdom Hall, but the people here are working. They're hard to find. Everybody has 2 jobs, and both people are working in the home. Like, it's hard finding people at home. People are struggling with depression, suicide. People are struggling with debt. It is a high cost of living space here. People have to travel out of this town because there's no work in town unless you work at the hospital. It's tough here. It's tough. And I can't hide behind the thought that, like, well, if I fail, then, oh, well, we'll just carry on. Like, a lot is riding on me doing this project, and my church members coming out and doing it. And so, like, I'm going to fail. I just know I'm going to. I know that I'm going to do this, and if I fail, like, the church loses motivation. It loses steam. It loses a little bit of the innocence of trying this again. Those are things you can't just like build back. You can't just buy those back. You can't just try again next summer. You try again next summer, you're starting with less buy-in. Try again the summer after that, less buy-in. Eventually it dies out. That's why I'm a big advocate that things should be a limited run. Because most things just aren't sustainable. You have to measure them out, and you've got to do them every once in a while. I've known that cost of failure exists. And I still couldn't shake the fear going out there. And it didn't manifest as fear. I think this is what people don't realize. Pastors are very fearful. They'll never show it. What they will show is a reluctance to do the work. That reluctance is even covered in another layer, and that layer is busy. Well, I'm busy doing this. I'm busy doing that. Look, any pastor who tells you they're busy, they're lying to your face in ways you can't imagine. Not because they don't have stuff going on. They do. But pastors have so much control. They have like unilateral control and say over what their schedules look like. It is I've not been in a situation where I've seen a pastor really be squished by the expectations of the church. I hear it all the time. It's not true. It's just not true. Unless they're in a very large church with like a very demanding schedule with multiple pastors because it's a well-oiled machine. Outside of that, okay, I'm a traveling pastor. I work with districts. I can run away anytime. I could at any time tell my church, I'm not going to go canvassing today. I have something really important happening. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just really busy. Something's come up. I could say that at any time, and I could lie. But it wouldn't be a lie because there's always something to do. Always. I can always find something else. If I don't want to do this work, all I have to do is find that something else to work on. Believe me, I've got tons of stuff. I've got things coming out of my ear holes of stuff to do. But any pastor who complains to you, I'm just really busy, lies. It's lies. And it's not lies because it's an untruth. It's lies because it's disingenuous. It's not genuine that pastors are actually so busy that they don't have time to come visit your grieving aunt. It's not true that pastors are so busy that they can't come visit your husband who is not a believer in Christ, who's not a church attender, but that you want the pastor to come and see you. It is a lie if the pastor says they're too busy and they can't show up to the prayer meeting. It's all a lie. It's not true. I know. I've been a member for as long as I've been a pastor, and I can see you. I'm watching, okay? I've been a church leader. I know you guys aren't that busy. What's true is we're actually quite fearful because we don't have faith, or because our faith has been challenged in ways that hopefully most members will never have their faith. I pray. But I know it's necessary. Failure is necessary to achieve that success. I was afraid, I still have that fear, that I will have done all of this and I will go to the door and no one will want to study the Bible. More, I'm afraid that I will then have people who say they are interested in studying the Bible, and I have to follow up on them. I have to do the work. I have to call them up and I have to say, hey, hi, and then put up with like the fear of being rejected. It's not just the fear of failure, it's the fear of rejection. It hurts. Pastors are social animals. We love being, to some capacity, and a facet, different for every pastor, a facet of socialization. And for me, part of that facet is education. I love being an educator. I love sharing knowledge and being appreciated for what I know and what I'm passionate about. I'm a pastor. All pastors have that to some extent and in different areas of their life. We're social by nature, true of all humans, especially pastors, very specific area. And it's different for each. That fear of rejection, it cuts deep. It's built into pastoral ministry somehow. or in some way that I can't really describe. Now I've got to do that part. Now I've got to sift through all these. I've got piles and piles of surveys, and some of them say, yes, I do want to study the Bible. And I know it's not just like a yes, because I didn't make it a yes or no. I learned this one the hard way. Not the hard way, really. I just learned it by observation. I don't ask people, do you want to read the Bible? I ask them, are you interested in studying your Bible? Yes, no, or maybe. And I don't even phrase it. I say no, yes, or it depends. If it depends, and I encourage people, I would say, hey, there's no penalty for being honest. Please just indicate if you don't want to study the Bible or you're not interested right now. And if they say, well, I am going to put yes, I feel bad for saying no, but I already studied my Bible. Then, okay, let me take that. I'm going to take note of that. I'm going to write down here, you already studied the Bible. You don't need someone to come study with you, or rather, you're not interested, right? I don't tell them you're not interested because I don't want to like pressure them. People feel pressure when you put it that way. But I say, hey, I'm just going to indicate here that you already have a fulfilling Bible study life. And yeah, I do. Sometimes people say, well, I do study my Bible, but I don't understand. I had somebody like that. So I'll just indicate that you already have a fulfilling study life. Well, the truth is I already study, but I don't actually. I think I would benefit from. Okay, great. Neat. Now I got to follow up with that. And I have to go through the whole dance, the social interaction, of calling up, or some of them I don't have a phone number. All I have is an address. Going back there, getting in my car, going through the various stages of friction, all of which I can use at any time to use as an excuse to say, man, it's just too hard. Man, I'm just too busy. Instead of showing up, following up on the people that the Lord has put in our path to say, hey, I'm here to give you the opportunity to study the Bible, not with anybody else, but with us. And then go through, and it's not just a one-time thing. Every week you will have to show up. If you can get past that hurdle of, oh yeah, we are interested. And if you can get past the hurdle of, can we schedule it? And if you can get past the hurdle of the first time showing up on time and doing the study and they're still available, and then them still being wanting to do the study again. It's just rejection, opportunities to be rejected over and over and over again. And you would think you can grow desensitized to it. Maybe you can, but I can't. I just can't seem to do it. It was so much easier in LE when it was someone else's program, and they would tell me, well, if they reject you, they're rejecting God. It's a lot harder when it's just you, because it is just you. Yeah, the Spirit goes before me. Yes, I pray to Jesus Christ that He will bless me and He'll go with me. And yes, I try to take the church members with me, but they can't always go. It's not always going to work out. And it still hurts, man. It's still frustrating. What if they, it's easiest when it's at the beginning. It's hardest when it's at the end. You've already put the effort in, and they've said yes, 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 yes. And then maybe you do something. Maybe you say something that you could have said a different way. Maybe you show up late. Maybe you forget. Maybe you have stuff come up, and you legitimately can't make it. Or you make excuses. Then they're like, yeah, I've just got stuff going on. Or maybe you weren't very interested in your Bible studies. These are all real, pretending that I wasn't the problem is not really something I can just hide behind it. Because I'm the one who had control over the program. I decided which study we were going to go over. I chose how I was going to approach you to follow up on a Bible study interest. That was all me. Yes, led by the Spirit, but I'm still the human component. Could He have used a different human component? Would the result have been the same? I don't think so. I think the human variable matters. If it didn't matter, then anybody could just be a pastor, right? Okay, so I think, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I think anybody can be anybody. I don't think there's anything special about pastorate. There's no such thing as a priesthood of pastors. We're not prophets, God forbid. But I also respect authority within the church, and if we have policies, I think we should follow those policies. Not that some policies aren't dumb. And I'm not here to enforce the policies if somebody doesn't like them, unless it's a policy that's moral in nature. So I learned that about myself. I actually learned it in the most unlikely way. Last night, today was the last day. I'm finished now. This is Pastor Eli after hours. It really is after hours now. I went knocking on doors finally with my pastor friend, Pastor Santo Valdez. Shout out to Pastor Santo. Amen, hermano. Que pastorazo. Pastor Valdez just like got thrown in the deep end. Being a pastor is not easy stuff. It's an easy job, but it's not easy. Not easy moment. The job is easy. The moments are very hard. I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever the case, we go knocking on doors. I saved a portion of the map that I was like, this is all Spanish speakers. There's no English speakers here. We're going there. We show up, and we have a last house experience where the guy self-proclaimed as Catholic, and he said, look, I'm not interested in reading the Bible. And I asked why. He said, because I respect God too. And I think the Bible is a very holy book. I don't want to play around with it. Yeah. He explained it like this. The Bible is so holy, he thinks it should be so respected that a common person like it, it's not for me. It's too holy for me. Leave that aside. Explain that, look, I go to Misa, I go to Mass. Priest, he tells me, the Father, he says to me what the Bible says and what it means. And if he lies or he gets it wrong, that's on him. For me, though, I'm trusting that God is using the man, and if that part over there is failing, that's not on me. But I don't want to go out and open my Bible and get it wrong, and then I'm guilty for all that went wrong in my life, or that for me misinterpreting, or for me blaspheming God and not understanding or misrepresenting who God is, because I didn't understand. In that moment, it clicked. It clicked for me for the first time in 31 years. Hyperbolizing. For the first time, really, in my conscious life, I was like, that's what's happening. That's why it's so hard for me to go in the morning. That's why there's so much resistance. Yes, the spiritual warfare, but that stuff's happening all the time. I wear the armor of God, and hey, fine. Like, it doesn't change the fact that the stuff is happening. But does that mean that like me witnessing to you by visiting you is less important? Because I certainly don't feel as much resistance there as I have in this. I've been under freaking attack, man. Yeah, it's just, it's that fear of accountability. If you're going to do missionary work, if you're going to go and look for Bible study, you're going to do the work that Christ left for us to do, and you're not doing it as a pastor or a church member, it's time to fess up, man. It's not because it's hard. It's not even because it's not going to work. Anything, we're afraid that it will work. I'm afraid that now I've got all these Bible studies I have to follow up on. Now I have to go through the pain of possibly being rejected every single time. Are there people who don't struggle with that the way that I do? Praise the Lord, there are. But I do struggle. And I have that sneaking suspicion that I think for a lot of pastors, that's true also, to varying extent. I just happen to be very on my sleeves about it. I tell you the truth. That's something I struggle with. But I believe that I am strengthened by highlighting and by bringing into the light, creating calluses on my insecurities. Because I hate feeling that those insecurities have power over me. Only thing I wish to have power over in my life is the Holy Spirit. I refuse to be held captive by these insecurities and the projection of. That's why I dove into this. I actually started this because I thought, I know that if I do nothing, I will be able to hide. The church will remember me as a pastor that did a lot for them, and that bent over backwards for doing new sermons for them every single week, and put a new sound system. Started a small group Bible study, which is already more than lots of other pastors had done. I knew I could fly. For me, that's enough. I can do that all day long. Hard stuff is this. This is hard. And I know that every pastor can do it. I know I can do it. So that's Pastor Eli After Hours. That's the truth. Truth of where I'm at. Like I said, it feels like I've been sprinting for several months, and I'm just now sitting down, and the race isn't even over. We moved into a new house. Home buying was not kind to us. We worked with my cousin as a realtor, And we put him through his paces because, well, we're first-time home buyers. We don't know what we want. He's dealing with picky customers on a tight budget who are not easy to work with because, again, we're new at this. We don't even know we don't even know how buying a home works. So we just see, ooh, pretty house on the market. Click, send to my realtor, who's my cousin. If he's watching this, hey, Oscar, I think you did a good job, dude. I know sometimes some customers, I'm not going to say my wife's name on air and throw her under the bus. Some customers are easily influenced by what their friends say. Sometimes their friends say, what? No, your realtor should be doing this. They should be doing that. And then they get impatient with their realtor. I'm not like that. I know what it's like working with people, but it's tough. I know I can tell when people don't know what they're talking about. And you probably can too. And it's frustrating, right? Like super frustrating, kind of like do the work, but then you show them, you go through all the trouble. You spend an hour and a half looking at a house that you'd only scheduled for 30 minutes and then nothing, right? Like 4 months later and you're like, come on guys, make up your mind. Like you're poor, you're going to get a crappy house. Like that's just how it's going to be, right? Doesn't matter if you pray 1,000 times a day. If there's no nice houses on the market, there's no nice houses on the market. Like, sorry, I get that. But it was still tough, right? Like it took a ton of time out of our schedule to go and look at these houses. I did want Emily to just go and look at them because at the end of the day, I was like, look, the only thing I care about is like these 3 things. I don't care about anything else, right? Turns out that was not the right approach. Once I became more picky, we actually used our time a lot wiser. Now we were narrowing down what we were looking at instead of going and wasting. I didn't realize I was supposed to do that. I was trying to be open-minded. Turns out that was wrong. Finally, we move in. And moving in was a brick and a half of work. We bought a house, again, because we're poor, that was not really in operable condition. The sink was non-operable, like the sink counter and everything. Moldy everywhere, and it was disgusting. We had no kitchen. There were no kitchen cupboards, countertops. Like it's just like it was there and it was dressed up for the pictures, but by all intents and purposes, I would not trust any food that was made on that countertop. Ugh, yeah, it was not good. So we're gonna do that. We paint the whole house on the inside. We do the whole moving thing. If you've ever seen my house, you've seen my family, we don't travel light. That's not a feature, that's a bug. We're working on it. It's been so annoying. Being a homeowner has been nice, but like all of these time-sensitive projects have really taken the wind out of our sails. Because one of us, I'm not going to say who, but one of us tends to overestimate how feasible a project is. And the other one of us is there like saying like, this isn't going to work. But then the other one says, stop being a negative Nancy, right? I'm not going to tell you who's who, but one of us is like that. And then conflict ensues. And then we still have to do the house thing, right? We still have to a countertop. And so, yeah, like things taking way longer than you always, right? Taking longer than you anticipate they're going to take. And on top of that, I'm now still in charge of Western Soap Camp Meeting. We're constantly cycling pastors in and out of that Grand Junction Church, and it's a whole thing, right? There's tons of stuff happening. At 3 weddings in the time that we were moving, and just oof, yeah, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. And of course, this now losing, just losing time on the traveling part, which I've talked about before, I think, in my ministry videos. Traveling pastor, a ton of my work is just getting from point A to point B, losing all that. I don't have a car that I can just like push a button and call someone up. My car's not new enough to do that. Could I buy a headset and do that? I mean, I could, but I also don't have AC, so there's like the wind going like the entire time. I know I'm complaining a lot in this video. It's Pastor Eli After Hours. I'm just ranting. You can leave anytime. Hey, this isn't the office channel where I'm providing value. I really am just ranting because I'm tired and I have no one else to talk to. Thanks for sticking around. yeah, that's what it's been. Enjoying these Milano cookies. Mm, that's nice. I'm thirsty. A surprising amount of people said they were interested in stress management and mental peace. I'm really hoping that one wins because I feel like we can pull that one off the easiest. We made no promises like in writing, and even if we had, like, no one's going to hold us accountable to doing whatever's on that sheet. I still think we need to do at least something, and it should be in the top 3. We should pick from those. But yeah, I'm excited to see who wins the drawing. We did a drawing for Amazon gift cards. I realize now that was a pretty big oversight on my part. Somebody had suggested, I won't say who, you should do Amazon gift cards. Initially, I was like, hey, let's do a gift card to like City Market. And someone was like, oh, what about Amazon's? Oh, yeah, I love Amazon. Well, when you're working with people of huge demographic areas, some people are like, I don't need an Amazon gift card. Other people are like, I'm never going to use an Amazon gift card because I don't have Amazon. It's $100. Like, it's not nothing. And we're giving away 2 of them. So odds are better it's twice as good as a normal drawing. And both of them are for $100. But yeah, like, especially when I was in an impoverished part of town, people were like, an Amazon gift card? What do you want me to do with that? Yeah, a lot of people didn't sign up for that, and it ended up not even being that that valuable. So yeah. Anyway, that was the project. I'm glad we're done. We did 50% of the city, maybe even a little bit more. The city of Glenwood Springs. I don't know what the population is, but did I meet everybody when I went door to door? No, it was close to, like, I want to say 20% of homes we were actually able to speak to people. And we did it we did it mornings, afternoons, and evenings. It was morning 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11, afternoons 1 to 3, evenings 5 to 7. So it was a pretty manageable time chunks. Did lots of walking. But as you can imagine, mornings, very few people were home. The people that were home were retired. A lot of women. Afternoons, same deal. Even less people in the afternoon, actually. More people were home in the morning than there were in the afternoon. And then in the evening, of course, that's when everyone's home. Particularly the closer you got to 7 o'clock, which makes me consider, like, maybe next time we do this, we'll go from 6 to 8 instead of from 5 to 7. Initially, we were going to do 7:30. We ended up cutting things shorter just so it was tiring and it was hot to be out there. But when we do this again, if we do this again, we'll definitely be taking into consideration various different aspects. But yeah, that's been my experience. I've learned a lot. It was really cool to use a lot of the expertise that I picked up along the way through various means and getting to use them here in the church. It was super awesome to see members of my church family, Glenwood Springs Adventist, come out door to door with me. I think that was super cool. And I'm excited to see what the Lord will do for us. Remember us in your prayers. This is Pastor Eli After Hours. I'll catch you next time.